Check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector. And what you're looking at is a copy of Transformers Fall of Cybertron for the Xbox 360. That includes the slipcover and the manual. Now, as you can see, the price of this game was $19.99, and I bought this game from GameStop less than a year ago. Today, if you were to try to buy this game online on GameStop's website for the 360, or if you try to buy it in store, it's going to be at least $45 or so. And I'm so glad that I still had this receipt and I still had this price sticker, because I think a lot of times when myself and other YouTubers talk about the pricing changes that GameStop has been engaging in over the last year rather, it might seem like we're ragging on GameStop or we're hating on GameStop. I actually do not completely hate GameStop. I think GameStop, to be quite honest with you, has been one of my main sources of picking up retro games, just because I know that most mom and pop shops and retro game stores are going to be priced either above market price or just a little too high for my taste. The way I use mom and pop retro video game stores is I use them for trade deals. So if I have a bunch of games that I've picked up either for free, or if I picked up a huge lot of games and I picked out the ones that I wanted and I want to trade the rest, those are games that I may take to certain mom and pop shops because I know I'll probably get more for them there than at GameStop. But when it comes to just buying retro games straight up, GameStop to me, over the last year, has become the better proposition due to things like the buy two get one free, the 4 under 20 for 40, the 4 under 20 for 10, all the pro member points that you can build up and use as cash towards other purchases, and just other little benefits that you get here and there. In addition to the fact that, at least with GameStop, you do get a 7-day return policy. Some people have their battles and struggles with that. I guess, that's going to be, to each his own. Everyone's going to deal with that based on where they're located or however their local GameStop is with things like that. But I feel like ever since the start of 2024, so pretty much once like the second quarter of 2024 came around, GameStop got very, very aggressive with matching their game prices, their retro game prices, to pretty much what you see on price charting. And I think that they did that knowing that they were going to roll out their whole retro GameStop initiative come the second half of 2024, which is when we saw GameStop, the whole GameStop retro thing come about. And for those of you who may not have heard, I'm sure most of you have, but in the middle of 2024, GameStop decided to designate certain stores as retro stores, where they would send all of their retro games. And by retro games, I pretty much mean everything from Gen 6 and older, because most GameStops still carry Gen 7 games. If you go into most GameStops, you're still going to be able to buy PlayStation 3 games, Xbox 360 games, and Wii games, as well as like 3DS, DS, things like that. But if you're looking for like PlayStation 2 games, PS1, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, things like that, you're really going to find the lion's share of those types of games at a designated retro store. And I think that a big part of that was done as a push to revitalize the company. The company hasn't been in a good place. They're looking for ways to generate revenue, and leaning into this whole retro theme, along with leaning heavily into like Pokemon cards, and then they got into graded sports cards and things like that. They're really kind of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks here, or at least that's what it feels like. And I think, as they went about this retro initiative, I think GameStop started to realize how much money they had been leaving on the table for the last 2 to 3 years prior. Because when you look at certain games like Transformers, they had a lot of quality retro games that were really underpriced because retro wasn't their priority. However, we all know that the retro boom took place during 2020. So that was when a lot of the retro prices just got crazy inflated. And if you were aware, then you went into GameStop and you saw some of these high priced games, you were probably picking them up for, 20, 30% of the price charting value. So what GameStop started to do in 2024 was it seemed like they started to kind of match the price charting values, which sucks for people like myself who had been really just taking advantage of a lot of the cheap deals. And it seemed like back then they had a lot more of the buy two get one 420 for 40. You rarely see those types of deals happen. Last year in 2024, I feel like we saw that come about maybe two or three times. We saw the buy two get one promotion come about maybe four times, and two of those times happened during the holiday season. So, you could just tell that they were starting to get very, very stringent with the amount of deals and discounts that they were giving on their retro games. And then even when they did host these promotions, they went and priced up. They increased the prices on their retro games. So for instance, if a game was normally 19.99, the week of the buy two get one, that 19.99 game is now 27.99. So it was like a net, you're like breaking even if you took advantage of the buy two get one. So because of that, I think it forced a lot of folks who shop at GameStop to become very savvy and very aware, and they started to really look for best ways to take advantage of their promotions. And so GameStop has become this place where, while yes, they do have a lot of retro games there now, you can't buy every retro game from there that you see. You have to kind of be cautious and mindful and kind of be aware of what price charting values are for certain games to know whether or not you're paying market price, if you're getting any type of a deal, or if they're just simply overcharging you. And for the second half of 2024, it seemed like they were just pretty much on par with price charting. But now, since pretty much the holidays and coming into 2025, it seems like now GameStop's pendulum is swinging in the other direction, and it feels like they're starting to do more overcharging for retro games. It seems like they're starting to really just increase prices on games that don't make sense. Like for instance, Donkey Kong 64 is a game that they have listed for like $35, and that game shouldn't really be breaking more than 28 bucks. That's like a 28 $25 game, but they're charging, $35 for Donkey Kong 64. Another game would be Super Mario 64. They want $45 for that game, where Super Mario 64 is really like a $35 game. So it depends on the console, and I think they price up certain games that I think they think more casual game players will want. So if it's a game that just like someone who's not a retro game enthusiast would want, if it's a game that's easily recognizable, it's more likely that they'll overcharge for that type of game. And I used to see it happen with I see it happen the most with N64 games. I see it happen with very popular Wii games. I see it happen with a lot of like Nintendo stuff. Definitely Nintendo stuff. I see it happen with certain Super Nintendo games. And so you just kind of have to be aware coming into this year that they're probably going to try to make up for the years that they were, undercutting themselves and selling these games at too low of a price. So in 2025, for me, when it comes to shopping and buying like video games on GameStop or retro games for that matter, I feel like the best value you get, to be quite honest, is in those heavier, more rare games that they rarely get on their website. So the types of games that I'm talking about are games that like would price chart for maybe 150 to 175, but they have it on their website for 94.99 or 99.99. That's probably where you're gonna get your best deal. One of the games that I was shocked to see on their website the other day was they actually had a copy of The Adventures of Batman and Robin on their website. They had it for 94.99, and Adventures of Batman and Robin is like a 130 to 140 $130 to $140 game. So if that was a game that you were looking for to add to your collection, then that might be a pretty good discount on a game like that to get it for 94.99 or 99.99. You're getting a much better deal than paying what the market price is. but that's really only going to apply to like select Super Nintendo games, NES games, Sega Genesis games, PlayStation 1 or Dreamcast games. And those games are like few and far between. Every once in a while, I'll see a copy of like Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 3 show up on their website. I'll see a copy of Mega Man X2, Mega Man X3. That that tier of games, in my opinion, is probably the tier of games where you're gonna get the steepest discount. But a lot of like your $40 to $50 like classic titles like Super Mario 64, Mario Party, a lot of like your GameCube, anything GameCube, Wii, um, certain Super Nintendo games, NES games, those are going to be priced a little bit over market value. There are some Pokemon games that are right at market value. Like I recently picked up Pokemon Gold, Blue, and Yellow, and Red, actually, from them. I picked up Red, Blue, Yellow, and Gold, all within like a 1 to 2 month span, and each game was probably about $5 to $10 under price charting value. And this is not counting if you use like rewards points towards these pickups. This isn't counting if you take advantage of any buy two get one promotions, because that's usually when you're going to get the best deals. But one of the things that I have noticed is that GameStop has begun to limit the games that they make available, especially on their website. They have started to limit the games that they make available during those buy two get one promos. There'll be a ton of really rare Pokemon games, Super Nintendo games, NES games that will literally vanish from the website the day that their buy two get one goes up, and then the day after the buy two get one goes away, all these games reappear on their website. So, and I get it. They're probably trying to avoid other game store owners finding inventory for their stores through their website. I get that, because if you have a game store and you're looking at stock up, I mean, we've seen a lot of YouTubers who own game stores do it all the time. They'll wait for GameStop's buy two get one, and they'll just buy out every single Pokemon game, and now they're stocked up for the winter. So I understand GameStop wanting to limit that. It's just, you got to be aware that this is what's going on, and you got to be aware that they are clearly bumping their prices up, because in less than a year, this game, a used old game, right, a 360 game, is not new by any means, yet over the last year, it's more than doubled in price, from where GameStop had it just a year ago. So this is something that you definitely want to be mindful of. When you're shopping at GameStop this year, I still do think that they're a viable source for retro games and just video games in general. But you just have to be a savvy shopper when shopping there, just so that you can maximize the deals and get the most for your money. But let me know what you think about this. Do you have any games that you could clearly see doubled in price over the last year? I'm interested to know what your stories are. Let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.